Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to my commentary on what CW is doing right now with their Crisis on Infinite Earths, or whatever they're calling it right now. I am not watching the series episode by episode. I gave up on the CW series a long time ago, all of their shows, and there was a specific point in which their focus turned from telling a good story to pushing social agenda, and you can almost see it in each series. The pivot where they did this. Supergirl did this in season 2, about halfway through, I think. You saw it in Flash in one of the recent seasons. As soon as they decided that Iris needed to be, the head and the lead and this and that, and she's got to be, sister doing it for herself and the boss and everybody or whatever. You've seen it over and over again. And, of course, the patent response you get from your feminists or the social justice, crowd on Twitter is whatever. Oh, boo-hoo, you just can't handle your heroes, having to deal with women. No. Here's the problem. The problem is, not only do you spit upon the male heroes that we know and love, such as Superman and Batman and so forth, you spit upon the female heroes we know and love. The tragedy of the Supergirl series, for example, and I'll get into the crossover here in a second, but I just want to lay this premise first. The tragedy of the Supergirl series is not just that they've completely subjugated that Superman to Supergirl. When Tyler Hoechlin's Superman first debuted at the beginning of season 2, it was glorious. They were paying homage to the wonderful Christopher Reeve. It was perfect, and the little interplay they had between the two was pretty solid. It was good. When they turned and decided to make the show more agenda-driven now, instead of worrying about good storytelling or faithful portrayals of these characters, they not only decided to completely rip Superman down. He had to admit, every time he's on screen now, he's got to admit Supergirl's superiority. He's got to do things like in the episode of the Crisis here just recently, he's discouraged and doesn't want to be a hero, and Supergirl has to come in and tell him, yes, you need to do this and that. Not only do they rip down the male superheroes, they also fail to give us the female superheroes that we love so much. Supergirl is a wonderful character. She is a character, when done correctly, she's supposed to have all of the powers of Superman, obviously. Not quite as strong, since she hasn't absorbed the yellow sun as long as he has, and is from such a young age and everything, but all of his powers. A very powerful hero, our heroine in her own right. And yet she's supposed to be younger, a little spunkier. She's got some things to learn. He's a mentor to her. But you also have her having heart. She brings this heroine archetype compassion to the character that Superman, is our aspirational paragon archetype, doesn't necessarily go in that direction. Superman's got plenty of heart. He's wonderfully compassionate and everything like that. But you know what I'm saying? They rob her of that. And how they rob her of that is by trying to make her, and this is the feminist agenda that we see in television today now over the board. They're afraid of the feminine. They're ashamed of the feminine. So they have to make all of their female lead characters be as masculine as possible. And they try to shove this into this sort of a gender deconstruction idea or a fluidity of gender. It's all nonsense when it comes to mythological archetypes. I've talked about the feminine, the heroine archetype. I'll link to that in the top right-hand corner, the importance of that. And everything. But now look at what they've done to Supergirl. They had to give her pants. She's got to have pants because none of this skirt stuff and blah, blah, blah. She's got to be the leader now. She's got to be the one telling Superman what to do and stuff like that. Not only do they diminish Superman, but they rob us of Supergirl. And that's a tragedy. Same thing with Batman and Batwoman. Batwoman, Katie Kane in the comic books is a wonderful character. Go look at some of the Paul Dini writings from Kate Kane Batwoman. It's really great. Really great stuff. But no, that series has been all about her taking a dump all over Batman in that universe because, it's time for a woman, and not only a woman, but a lesbian woman. So she's got 2 points when it comes to intersexual feminism. She's really up there in the card carrying, social justice world. And it's ridiculous. The stories are horrible for it. What they're doing now with Crisis, and I'm going to cover mainly Batman and Superman here. What they told us leading up to this was that we were going to have Brandon Routh come back. That's huge. I love Brandon Routh as Superman. We just did the rewatch of Superman Returns on my channel the other night. I recommend you go check it out. I'll put a link to that. I'll also put a link to a couple of analysis videos I did of Superman Returns. It's not a perfect film when it comes to the proper portrayal of the iconic Superman. It does make some mistakes, absolutely, but it's also a wonderful. It does a lot of things right, and Brandon Routh's portrayal of Superman was one of them, absolutely. So it's glorious to see him in that Superman suit again, and it just, a great big, screw you to everybody who tries to say, oh, the trunks don't matter, the trunks are silly. Get a clue about the character for anything. I mean, that's ridiculous. The trunks look just fine on him. He's glorious in that costume. But here's the problem with it. And this is the insidious part. This is for all of the wonderful little moments and the little cameos and the little things. And everybody says, don't be so negative. It's just fun. It's fun. Don't be so stupid. Look at what they're doing. Yes, it's glorious to see Brandon Routh back in the costume. And that's why I'm only watching I'm following the story, but I'm not watching these nonsense storylines and everything for the Crisis. I'm going to just go out and watch the YouTube clips of these characters and their wonderful moments, or go back and watch, the moments from there. And everything that Routh does is wonderful. But they've also told us now that Routh is the Christopher Reeve Superman. Now, this is not true. This is the problems of Superman Returns, is that it tried to take the most iconic portrayal of Superman ever and tried to take it in this dark turn and say that his universe goes darker and, these things with Lois and all this kind of nonsense. That was a problem of the film. Routh, with his wonderful portrayal of the Kingdom Come Superman, what the writers and producers are doing with this is they're trying to tell you now that, hey, did you like Christopher Reeve's Superman? Well, his universe ends up really tragic and everybody's dead except for Superman. So you can't really go back to that. You can't go home again. No more Christopher Reeve Superman. Did you like Routh's Superman? That's all tied up into that. Did you like Smallville? Did you like Tom Welling's Superman? Well, that Superman loses his powers and he's not doing the Superman thing on that Earth anymore. So stop trying to go back to that and wish for any nostalgia on that, because that's not happening anymore. Did you like Batman the Animated Series? Do you like Kevin Conroy? Well, Kevin Conroy now is going to be a murderous, evil Batman a la Batman v Superman. They changed that for a little bit. When we see him in the armor, we thought maybe he was going to be a Kingdom Come Superman. Or excuse me, Batman. but no, they're going to make him the murderous Batfleck, basically. The Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller style. What they're doing here, they're taking our beloved icons and the people who wonderfully portrayed these characters in the past, or at least the wonderful portrayals of these characters, and they're getting them out of the way. They're getting them out. They're putting them to bed under the guise of giving you something you love. Hey, look at the nostalgia. Look at these characters. No, they're getting them out of the way under the guise of giving you something you love, so that they can clear the way, so that they can push Batwoman on you. This whole Batwoman, this whole Crisis is making her one of the paragons. And, it's already established Supergirl is the, leader of her universe, basically, for all intents and purposes. Batwoman is so important, guys. You need to shut up and get on board with that series. And look what they've done. They're setting this up for the Tyler Hoechlin Superman. They have neutered him in every way. And I don't mean neutered as in, oh, Superman's supposed to be big, bad machismo. No. He's not that kind of character at all. But they've needlessly ripped him down so that they can make the women in that show higher up. Lois has to dominate him all these places. And Lois is supposed to be spunky, and Lois is supposed to have her own, attitude and grit. She's supposed to be that wonderful character, but she doesn't spit on Superman or have to lead him around or anything like that. Supergirl doesn't have to be the one who convinces him to stay a hero and all this nonsense. They've done this to Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, but now they want to do a spin-off series of Tyler Hoechlin and Lois. The concept's neat, let's have with a son, maybe even Jonathan Kent from DC Rebirth. But it's very clear what they're going to do with their agendas that drive all of these shows now. They're going to make Lois be the leader of every episode. Superman will have something to learn from the women in his life in every episode. It's just going to, if that's what you need to make these female characters look great, then they're not very strong. You're not honoring these female characters at all. Like I said, you're not giving us the real Lois Lane. You're not giving us the real Supergirl. You're giving us these cheap knockoffs, which you're so insecure about showing in a positive, independent, strong light that you have to beat down all the men in their life just to make them look good. That's horrible writing. It's a horrible respect of the women and characters in the thing. It's nonsense. It's ridiculous. So this whole crossover. And they're going to take Routh and all of his glorious Superman portrayal there and probably sacrifice him in the end of this Crisis. We won't know now until after the new year. But it's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. And it's disgusting how so many people are just swallowing it. Yeah, but don't be so negative. It's just so great to see these on screen. don't be so stupid. Don't be so naive. Look at what they're doing. You might have one moment of seeing Conroy on screen finally as Batman, and that's glorious. But to actually finally have Kevin Conroy play Batman in the live action, and to give him this horrible, deconstructed BS version of the character to play in live action, that is such a spit in the face of Conroy himself and of everybody who's loved his portrayal of the character, his iconic portrayal of the character throughout the years. It's nonsense. The same thing with Ralph and Reeve and so forth. They know what they're doing. It's insidious, as I said. They are doing this so that they can clear the palette. They can put this to bed. It's kind of like Star Wars with the rise of Skywalker, quote unquote, in which they say we're putting to bed the Skywalker saga. So they can go do whatever they want now. People have been so determined to hold on to Skywalker and all of these predetermined ideas of Star Wars, so they can't do their own agenda-driven nonsense, their Last Jedis and so forth, so that they're doing this film to try and put to death that storyline. Put it out, put it together, put it done, so now we can do what we want. Don't let them do that. And you're going to let them do that just because, well, I like to stay positive. Well, then you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. I don't say that lightly, but it's just the facts are facts. If the characters mean anything to you, then you will hold the storytellers, those who are giving us the tales of these characters, to some sort of high standard, the standard that they deserve. It's just ridiculous. I have here just a sampling of some of my collection of figures. I tried not to double up, although I did double up on Reeve and Ralph there. But you can have variances in the portrayals and still have them be iconic. A great example is this wonderful Mauricio Abril paintings I have here. There's his Superman one and there's his Batman one, and he's got some of the most iconic moments and portrayals from different variant versions of the character, so to speak. And this is proper. We've got Golden Age Superman, who's very different than Smallville Superman, but they're all linked to the iconic nature of the character. They're still the true iconic nature of the character. You've got Reeves and Lois Lane there. You've got Reeve and Lois Lane. George Reeves. You've got Superman Returns up there with the plane, that wonderful moment over on Batman. You've got the Batman 66, which was fun, which, in its own campy style, taken for what it is, definitely preserved the detective element of the character. You've got the Keaton, you've got the animated, you even have the wonderful iconic moments from Dark Knight Returns, just Dark Knight from the Bale and Ledger there. There's room for variance, lest people try to say, oh, you're just wanting the same thing, you just like what you like and don't like change. No. You can change what can be changed. Stop trying to pretend that anything is up for change. You need more than just the costumes and the name to tell a story about these characters. You need their core. You need their heart. You need who these characters stand up and show us they are archetypically. And if you don't, then that's going to affect culture. And it's going to affect personal psychologies of the people who follow these stories to varying degrees, depending on their interest and exposure to the stories. But at the very least, you minimize these wonderful characters and their roles that they play in our society by constantly just making them elastic and trying to push different versions and so forth, and trying to say it doesn't matter who they are. And, as long as they just have this or that, then you diminish them in their mythological status, and you just truly do make them a bunch of copyright fictional characters that, whatever happens. And that hurts society because they play key roles in culture. And this is basic cultural mythology, basic archetypes of the culture and society. So that's what this channel is all about. Glorious to see Ralph as Superman, but I'm not on board with any of this and any of the nonsense they're doing, all to clear the way, all to get these things out of your mind so that you'll be ready to shut up and accept Batwoman and Tyler Hoechlin's Superman and Lois and so forth. It's nonsense. It's quite underhanded and manipulative, and we shouldn't stand for it. That's my take, because people have been asking since they know I'm such a Superman. He's my everything. He's my main character, Batman right up there, a close second. And asking what I thought of the Ralph's coming back, and I gave a video of that when we just released on it, because I do like Ralph as Superman and so forth. So there's my thoughts on it. That's all for now. I'll be back with a Ghostbuster trailer reaction very, very soon. But until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.